Hello, and welcome to another episode of the We Build Families podcast. Again, my name is Pastor B, and this podcast is designed and structured for us to discuss day-to-day issues and problems that we have in our families that we don't always have an opportunity to really drill down and see what the issue is. And it's our endeavor that we provide godly principles and practical applications to these dilemmas and problems so you can build healthy families and we can build healthy families as well. So today's focus on today is dealing with marriages. The title of this episode today is Happily Ever After Fiction. Right? And so I have two really great friends with me today, Ashley and Albert Robinson. They are the marriage leaders at our church, Greater New Zion Baptist Church, where Bishop J. Anthony Grant is our pastor. So I wanted to bring them on today to kind of help talk about marriages. There's a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of myths about marriage. And so I wanted to bring them on so that we can talk about this. What's good, my people?
Hello.
What's good?
How are we doing today?
Doing
good.
Doing great.
Good. So I first just wanted to, break the ice, so to speak, and tell us about yourselves, how you guys met, how long you guys have been married. Let's kind of talk about that first.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've been married 13 years on April the 7th. We met in the military. From there, we became friends. It was just real cool. We were deployed together in 2003 together, and just kind of got to know each other by just sitting out talking, late nights and I guess early mornings, just through the time. And from there, we built a real tight bond for the friendship. Later on, we got married. 3 kids, and just I guess that's a kind of short, sweet, but it's truly been a blessing. And I guess you could say, what really the reason we have a tight bond is because we really built a friendship. It didn't start off, we was trying to, hang out or try to be together. It was just a friendship. We just kind of talked about each other's lives, things we've been through, and from there we just built a tight bond.
Cool. You
want to add something?
I think you summed it up pretty good. We started out and we were homies, we were friends for about 5 years before we finally decided let's go ahead and get married. But I think the glue to our marriage is our friendship, which started years before the marriage, and that's what keeps us together now, that solid friendship that we have.
And God, because
and God.
I know I'm kind of, but God.
Cool. Got you. So if you don't mind me asking, what age did you guys get married?
I know. Do you know?
I don't. I don't know.
Oh my God. I was 24.
Okay.
What?
Which means that I was 24 as well.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So similar to you guys, I got married when I was 23. And me and my wife were high school sweethearts. We dated for about 5 years as well. So yeah, friendship is definitely a key. So let me transition. What do you think are some of the biggest myths or misconceptions about marriage?
Your turn.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that marriage is easy. That, every day is going to be peaches and cream and, everything is going to be sweet all the time. But that's really not the reality. The reality is marriage is like a job. You have to work at it. If you want to keep your job, you got to work hard at it. If you don't want your job, you're going to probably get fired or you're going to quit. So basically, it's not what all the hype is about. Yeah, marriage is a beautiful thing, but it does take work to be able to have that longevity.
Yeah. And there's no such thing as a perfect marriage.
True.
I know a lot of times people always say, "Oh, y'all just have a perfect marriage, y'all." No,
Yeah.
no, we go through.
Yeah.
We had our ups and downs. We done been through pretty much anything you can name. You name it, we have went down that street. So we just learned through it that you have to grow through it. You have to learn how to build. You have to learn how to work on yourself, and that's the biggest thing we have learned with our marriage. With being in the military, as a married couple, being deployed together as a married couple, we pretty much kind of seen a lot of things when it came to marriage as far as different type of things, the cheating, you name it. We sit down with different couples or just no friends that has been through different things when it came to marriage, but the number one thing is really work on yourself. The more you work on yourself, the more you'll learn how to deal with your spouse.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really great point. Because we understand that marriage is two people coming together.
Yes.
It's not really 50-50. I think 50-50 marriages is another like misconception that people think.
Oh, yeah.
Is that, I'm bringing half of me, you bring in half of you, and together we'll make 100. Nah.
Yeah.
Because if I only bring half of myself, I'm only bringing the good stuff.
Right.
That's it.
And, if you got to live with me 24 hours a day, you're going to see the bad.
Oh, yeah. And then, like you said, with the 50-50 part of it, it's not a 50-50 because in times of your marriage, you may only produce 40% in your marriage on your side of it. So that means the other spouse has to take care of the other part, the 60 part. So it's not, in different times of marriages, you have to pick up where the slack goes off in marriage at time.
Good. Definitely. I think, like you said, Ashley, it requires work. So let me ask this question. I know you guys are married and you pretty much focus on married ministries, but is there a certain criteria that a person that's looking to get married, is there a certain criteria that they should have in their mind of who they want their spouse to be or the type of person they want their spouse to be?
I definitely would say yes. I know a lot of people say, oh, you should have this list. Well, if I allow anybody to come into my space, then I may not like that about that person. So then I'm just tolerating it. And then I'm not actually happy because I don't like that. I don't like that about this person. But I said, oh, well, I'm going to just take this because I don't want no list, checking out. Well, no, you have to have standards. And I tell single ladies all the time, I don't feel that you should settle for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a person that you meet is already showing you hostile, personalities, well, why would you not check that off your list? Like, no, well, he hollering and we just having a normal conversation.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't like that. Or even take it a step further, this person is just blowing money all the time. So then say you get together with this person, we're trying to build a solid foundation financially. Well, you've already shown me traits that you can't handle money financially. So either I'm going to lower my standards or I'm going to like, hey, are we doing some kind of money classes or something? He may look good, smell good, all that, take care of you good, but he may have some shortcomings. So you have to really think, like, do I want to put up with this? Is this something that I want to deal with for the rest of my life? Is this a problem that we can fix or that he can fix? So I think you have to have standards and know what you really want and not settle for anything, because he may not believe in God. And now you have entered into a relationship where you are sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and he like, girl, you crazy. And you like, so that's we're not equally yoked. That's not gonna work because I believe in God and you don't. Mm-hmm. So when I'm going to church, you looking at me like, why are you going to church? What you doing? So I truly believe that you have to have standards, and I believe in having a list that you want to go by, because when you get married, you say, I'm marrying one time. So
Yeah.
if you can't, you know, I just think you have to have some kind of standards and morals to go off of. What you think?
Oh yeah, I think so. God will give you the desires of your heart.
Okay.
So if you looking for a certain type of man, a certain type of woman, I truly believe that God will send that person to you, but you also have to do your research and your homework and do things that to get in that right place of the person that you looking for. But a lot of times, even if you look for the person and that person is the perfect person that you wanted, a lot of times people, you know, in the beginning don't show their true colors, you know. So it's one of those things that you really have to stay prayed up that God give you a covering to give you wisdom and discernment and understanding to deal with this person if that's not who they really are, if they show some different things later on. So you know, that's a real big thing in marriage. You know, a lot of, you know, something about the 4 and 5 year of marriage, you know, I don't know how I run into people with marriage all the time, but something about the 4 and 5 year, people really go through it in marriage. And I think that's the time where you really truly get to know a person deeply in that part of marriage, you know.
For sure. And you know, the three of us, we hear this all the time, but I want to share it to those that's watching. You know, many times whenever you first meet a person, that person isn't showing you their true self. They're sending a representative, right? And so many times we get fooled that the representative is their true self. And many times, Albert, like you said, it takes sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year and a half for all of those person's traits to show up. You know, if you're a bad person with money, let me talk about me. I didn't realize how immature and selfish I was until I got married.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. And, you know, that first year was probably the worst year of our marriage. Maybe second. There was some other stuff that happened down the line. But that year was crazy because I had a wife who was already financially doing her thing. I moved into her space. Had never had to be accountable for or responsible for myself with my parents. So I go from, you know, I'm a person who doesn't have any accountability or responsibility. My wife, who is fully responsible and this independent woman, and although we love each other, we were clashing. And I get kicked out. You know, we get kicked out of our apartment primarily because of me. And so, you know, it was one of those things where there was this huge learning curve at the beginning. And so I think you guys are 100% correct that take your time to get to know the person that you want to commit to. Because unlike what we see on TV, the goal is to get married once.
Oh, yeah.
That is so key, is that we're trying to do this one time. I ain't trying to get no divorce. I'm not trying this out. This is not a trial period. This is a commitment for life. So good stuff. So many times in a popular debate in this new age 21st century marriage is roles specified by gender roles. So traditionally, the man was the breadwinner and the wife took care of the kids at the house. And so in our community, there's still some pockets of our community that has an issue with defining roles for the man or the woman. What are your takes on gender roles when it comes to marriage? Is there such thing as gender roles in marriages? What do you guys
I think, you know, the man should go work and the wife should stay at home and she needs to be cooking and cleaning. No, I'm just joking. Our perspective on it is the man is the head of the house. We know that. But at that point, that doesn't mean that I make all the decisions. That means that we still sit down together make the decision together. When I'm saying make the decision, we talk about it together and come to agreement together. But then as a head, I can still make the final decision on it. So it's still an order in it. But in our household, we love order, but we love that we don't have a certain title for certain things for us doing around the household or doing just with our marriage. It's a together thing. Just like we talked about, it's not a 50-50. We in this thing together. We are one. So it's, I tell people, you do what fits your household. So I can't sit here and say I'm the head and I go work and she stay at home when someone else's household, financially, they can't do those type of things where the wife stays home and don't work, So it all depends on your household. I just think that it's one thing that you should pray about and you should ask God and kind of really, that's that part of knowing your friend and knowing how to build a relationship to where you can talk about those type of things and get that order in your household or how you want to do things.
I agree. I don't think that it's like specific role duties because I can take out the trash just as well as he can take out the trash. Well, in our relationship and our marriage, I'm in the military, so I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I don't mind to a certain extent. I don't mind getting out doing yard work. Certain things, I know I have a lot of friends like, oh, I wish I would go out there and cut the grass. Well, in our house, I grew up cutting the grass. I come from a house full of women. My mom had 3 girls, so we didn't have a man to go out there and cut the grass. So we all had to rake leaves and do things like that. We all had to take out the trash and, do things that people may say that's a male job. Well, in my house, and then Albert has been on the railroad for over 8 years. So a lot of times he wasn't there to go and do those things that the typical husband would do, right. Go pump your gas and stuff like that. He could be gone for extended periods of time. So am I going to let it pile up or am I going to do it? Who said that you have to do it? Well, I think it works for whatever works for your house. Right. For our house, I can do whatever he needs me to help him do. And he can do whatever I need him to help me do. And it has been times in our relationship where I was the breadwinner and he wasn't, and then the roles have flipped. And God has blessed us where I was able to stay home with the kids and just do my National Guard duties. And he hold down the bills and things like that, and I hold down the house. We were fortunate for that. But if we wasn't in that situation, I wouldn't mind going out, getting a job to pull the weight. It's called, you got to work together. Yeah. I don't think you should put a title on, hey, you better do this. And now we have boys, so y'all better go take the trash out.
Right.
But we're not teaching our daughter that, hey, you can't go do this certain thing because you don't want to limit a role on certain things, because sometimes you may have to jump in that role and do those things.
Definitely, 100%. 100%. So I know you mentioned something about how one person may be financially able to support the marriage while the other person has some other situation, and so it's important that we communicate. You guys also mentioned order, so I wanted to kind of touch that real quick. The order of marriage. Can you guys just break that down for those who may not know what the proper order is?
You're good. God,
man, husband,
wife, children,
okay,
family, and all that other stuff is in the bottom.
So
simple umbrella. God first.
Yeah.
Husband and wife. Children, work, church, all that other stuff.
Cool. So you mean to tell me that Ashley, your husband comes before your babies?
That's a good question. It took a long time for me to get that concept. The answer is yes. My husband comes before my kids. My husband comes before my family, my sisters, my mother. My husband is priority. God,
Mm-hmm.
husband, then children. For a long time, I didn't understand the importance of that. I would always say, oh, they need me because they're young. They're, you know, those are my babies. And I would be spending more time with them instead of spending more time with my husband. And things was way out of order.
Yeah.
Our marriage was chaotic because I didn't have the structure down. Because if you really think about it, reality, those kids are going to grow up and have families of their own. And where their mama going to be? Up under their spouse. So, you know, you have to keep things in order. That God, in God's order, the umbrella. God is always first. God is telling, my husband is the head of our house. And I'm trusting that he's hearing from God and making decisions based on what God has given him, not on what he has given himself, his own process of thinking. No, he's hearing from God to lead our family. And everything else falls up under that. My husband, church, God, my husband, church does not come before my family because my family is priority. Then all of that other stuff.
Sure. For sure. That's something that those of us who are in ministry, that's a truth we got to get right. Is
Yes.
that no matter how gifted, how talented, whatever the assignment is that we have at church, we can't let our marriages suffer because we want to put more attention on the ministry side versus the our family. So good stuff. Good stuff. Wanted to make sure that we cleared that up. I did want to mention too that as men, as husbands, we're the ones responsible for our marriages. If God was to come and give an audit on our marriages, he wouldn't go to the wife. Want to come to us and say, "Hey, what's going on? Tell me what's happening with your marriage right now." And even if we're in a situation where our wives are smarter than us, make more money, we still have that responsibility to, as you mentioned, we're the next tier in the order. So as men, as husbands, we have to understand that it is our responsibility to know everything that's going on. I don't have any kids, but I can imagine if, while Albert was away and you were the one responsible for the kids, Ashley, that if, that he had to know everything that was going on, because like I said, if guy comes and audits the marriage, he's going to come to Albert and be like, hey, what's going on with the kids? And I've always learned that the worst answer we can ever give is, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the worst answer that we can ever give. So we just have to, as men, make sure that we are responsible in our positions. All right. Submission. What does it mean to submit?
Submit. When I tell her to do something, she needs to do it.
Come on.
No, submit. It's just what we talked about. Order, knowing the structure. That's the part of submitting. I mean, how we said it, God first. With God being first, that means that as a man, as a husband, I have to submit unto God. Mm-hmm. Meaning that I have to be in order with God. Meaning I have to do the things that I have to do to provide for my family, or hear from God on the structure of my marriage or my family. Then it comes with the wife. She's submitting unto me because I'm submitting unto God for the structure and the order of things. And it's just that's that's a simple way of giving it to you, but that's it's straight like that. I mean, it's not sitting there trying to come up with some saying when I tell my wife to do something or this and that. No, if everybody's in line and structure with the order of God with marriage, those things shouldn't even have to even get detailed. It just falls into place.
Yeah. So the structure is simple. The skeleton is simple. How we work that out is from marriage to marriage.
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about something touchy real quickly that some marriages deal with, and I kind of want to get your perspective on it. How do we deal with infidelity? How do we deal with when one person has decided to put their affections toward another person and they step out? What do you think the response should be? Should they get a divorce? Should they break up? What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, starting off, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Marriages go through so many different things. And a lot of times, when it comes to the cheating part or different things, a lot of times we point fingers at the person who cheated. Yeah, you're wrong. You know you shouldn't go do that. But at the same note, sometimes in marriages, some things lead up to other things. And I'm not justifying for someone to cheat. Don't get that wrong. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, and things and marriage and things, you have to look at the bigger picture on a lot of things. You may not was getting the attention you need. That's not getting an excuse to go cheat. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, it's just in marriages, things trigger other things. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's my kind of point of view on it.
Well, I say I wouldn't tell a person, hey, sis, he cheating on you, you gotta let him go. No, because every situation is different, and you have to first know that, are you willing to forgive that person? Because if you can't forgive that person, that issue is gonna always be there. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, you may need to seek godly counsel on how should I handle this situation. But initially, I think that it should start with yourself. If I'm out doing something wrong, if I'm cheating, I have to make it right because I messed up, and that person didn't deserve. It doesn't matter what Albert does or what he has done in this relationship. That doesn't give me a ticket to go cheat.
No, yeah, that's what.
That's what you. I'm helping you. I'm
nobody your word. I'm not giving nobody a ticket.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I just gave a different point of view of what I said.
Okay. So yes, it's not giving you a ticket to go and cheat. But if I wronged you, and even if it's not just cheating on whatever level, if I wronged you, I need to make that right. But I can only make it right first with me. Because that means I got some stuff going on in my head. If I'm going to step out, that means I need to get fixed.
Right.
But I got to fix my husband. I got to make sure that I got to prove that he can really trust me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's not easy because, say if he cheated, then he got a wife that's, I'm like, hey, like, how we going to do this? Because it's not going to be easy. Because, so it's a process. But no, I wouldn't say go get a divorce because he messed over you or she cheated on you. No. It starts with forgiveness. Mm-hmm. You got to ask God to forgive you first and ask your spouse. And then you have to figure out, how can you move on from this? Or can I move on from this?
Right.
Because sometimes it's not easy and you don't know how many times, like just say for me, just say how many times I've been neglected or hurt in the past. So now I got to deal with this on top of this issue. So now I have multiple issues and basically all in the same category, but it hurt me even more because I trusted you.
Right.
So then you have to start figuring out ways to make this right. Like how, because we can't just say, hey, let's talk about this. I'm sorry, baby. I love you. I'm sorry. No. Because every time you walk out the door, I'm going to be thinking like, where he going? Mm-hmm. I might get a little crazy. How many miles did it take to get here? I'm just kidding. But it's right. A process. in any situation you have in your relationship, if you can't sit down and talk about it and have an open discussion about it with each other, then you may need to bring in somebody from the outside, your pastor or a close friend, and you need to seek counsel to help you get through it. Counseling, yeah.
Do you think somebody should do counseling?
He's so petty. We have done counseling several times.
Several times.
I think it's amazing. And we have been so blessed that our pastor, he don't take sides. So it's like, hey, if I messed up, daughter, you wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Son, you wrong.
For sure. One of the things that I think is a misconception, especially with like infidelity or inflicting hurt on your spouse, is that forgiveness equals restoration. And that's not the case. Because I can forgive you, but not allow you an opportunity to hurt me in that place ever again. In the marriage class we had a couple of months ago, one thing that you guys brought out, and I just kind of want to reiterate it, is that I have to accept that if my spouse does something to me, or if I do something to my spouse, that they may never ever be able to fully restore me in that place, and I got to be okay with that.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Yeah,
hard because certain conversations that we could have easily and freely, now when we talk about it, I'm hurt. All of the hurt, all of the pain, and I can't rush that person into healing just so I can be comfortable, right? Because I'm the person that did the dirt. But now I'm trying to speed up your healing so we can get back to,
it takes time.
Definitely.
It takes time, and you have to really allow that person to heal in that area, or it won't be beneficial for either one of you. Like, because it's kind of like you just trying to put a Band-Aid on it. But this particular situation don't need a Band-Aid. This particular needs surgery. And it takes time to heal, and if I rush that process, then I'm leaving myself to get hurt again.
Yeah.
Because I may move too fast and I'm not healed in that area.
And that's like, we try to be very transparent with our lives because we want to bless others. Sometimes you can go through things and you can help somebody else not go down the road. Well, one of our big issues years ago was me gambling, like big time. I mean, win some money, hey, come home and throw it on the bed and things, and my wife. And then there was times where I lost real big.
Yeah.
And through that time, it caused a lot of trust issues with me and my wife. As far as, her not being able to trust me with my finances, as far as, dealing with money. But, once you break that one bond with trust, with one area, whatever it is in your marriage, it opens up questions on other issues in the marriage for us trusting. So once that trust is broken in any area of your marriage, it causes problems in all areas of your marriage. So that's one thing that I learned through it because, I used to, I don't gamble no more, or I'm not gambling like that anymore. And if I leave with something, the next day, she may get up in the morning and check the account real quick. What did you do last night? Where did you go? And I had to learn that, it takes time to build that trust back up with your spouse once that trust has been broken. And you have to really be very patient, and you got to really just ask God to, to forgive you first, and the God give her the strength, or him the strength to be able to handle being able to trust you again.
And that comes with, you have to be, when you mess up like that, you have to be transparent. Like, I know we have a lot of friends that like, oh no, we don't share money, we don't share bank accounts. He has his money, and well, for us that doesn't work because we have had financial trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to see, and not that I don't trust you because I know that you've grown in that area, but it took years for me to be able to be like, okay, I think he, but that's because I look at it like, as the head of the house, financially, you're responsible for making sure we're good.
Yeah.
Because that's the agreement that we came in. That is the agreement that we made. So I feel like if you feel like it's okay to blow money, then you feel like it's okay to blow your family, because this is money that's providing a roof over your family's head, food in your family's mouth. So if you don't care enough about your money to take care of us, you don't really care about us. So yeah, we have to put things in place. But that comes, I think that one of the biggest things that got us to where we are now is because we've always been friends that we could just talk about anything. I can tell Albert, like, dude, I don't like that. We got to come up with a plan. We can sit down and talk about any and everything, the good, bad, and the ugly, and knowing that, okay, it's only so we can come together and make a plan. It's not for me to be like, dude, you gamble, man, not to badger you. Like, no, look, what's the plan? How are we going to move forward from this? Because if you don't want to, then, because I have deal breakers.
I need to know.
I need to know, because this is a deal breaker, because we can be on the street. So, but it started with him having to check himself, because he started counseling. We started counseling together because it was a big issue. And so if he didn't say, God, forgive me, then I can't forgive you because you ain't forgave yourself.
For sure.
So you have to put things in place, and that starts with transparency. Like, you got to be, like, I'm not just checking on, be like, why you went out the door? No, send me a text or say, hey, if you had fidelity, issues, it's not like, oh, she's just trying to see where I'm going. No, I just want to make sure you're good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, final question. All right. If you had to narrow down the most important factors of marriage into like 4 things, what would they be?
Well, I got 3 right now.
Okay.
And I let her get the other one, but my biggest one, communication, compromise, and commitment. And when I say communication, means that you have to really keep that line of communication open. I mean, like, whatever you have to do. I mean, if you have to go walking for a little while to figure out how to talk about certain things, or find your happy times to talk about certain things or issues. And I say within the last 2 years or so, me and my wife both have got to a point to where if something is really bothering us, we try not to hold it. Or if one of us did something to each other where we say, well, I didn't like the way you did that. I didn't. Like, and I thank God that we got to that point, because it really helps out a lot, with that open communication for us talking about certain things. And then the compromise. You got to really compromise with one another. I mean, you got to find a meeting point. You have to. And then I let her get the other one.
Okay, so he said commitment, communication, and compromise. And mine is very simple. I think that in every relationship, marriage, that you have to have a purpose. I truly believe that we have a purpose-given marriage. And I feel like every couple does, but you have to find that, and you have to know what's your ultimate goal. For us, and we talked about it in our meeting, our class, for us at the end of this love thing, we want to be sitting on the porch, drinking coffee in rocking chairs, laughing and talking about life, all those military deployments and these kids pulling our hair out. At the end of the day, we have an ultimate goal. And that's to be sitting together, holding hands.
Yeah.
Like 2 little old people with no teeth, and well, he probably ain't have teeth, but or me pushing him in the wheelchair. No, I'm just playing.
You in the wheelchair.
But at the end of the day, to fulfill that God-given purpose. God gave me a purpose and God gave him a purpose. He gave us a purpose together, and that's to help build marriages. And that's the ultimate goal, is to fulfill our God marriage purpose. And our goal will be sitting on there on the porch, 2 old people.
That's what's up. Rocking and sipping.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, listen, thank you guys so much for joining us on this podcast, We Build Families. I want to thank Ashley and Albert Robinson for your time. Feel free to subscribe to this podcast. We do have a couple of great episodes scheduled in the future. Again, thank you so much for your time, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank us for bringing us on, man. Enjoy it.
Absolutely.